Hello everyone. Today what I'm planning to do is run a slightly different size tire on this 650B all-road bike I have to my right. And when I had this bike built a few years ago, it was designed around a 650 by 48. And for the most part, I've been running 650 by 48 since I've had it. I did run a set of 650 by 50s, which are made by the Soma. They're called the Soma Cazaderos. And I've run those, and those have a slightly knobby tread. But what I haven't done, and something I've been meaning to try out, is run a slightly narrower tire than a 48. And the reason I'm doing this is because with 48 millimeter tires, there's a lot of discussion out there that 48 millimeter tires tend to be more sensitive to air pressure variations, and they tend to, because they're wider, they can sometimes feel a little bit bouncier on the road, and they tend to track things more so than narrower tires. So if there's a slight concave surface you're riding on, it can tend to try to track that surface a little bit, and it can become a little annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this 650, and this is a really popular size tire as well. This is the 650 by 42 Panaracer Pacenti Parimoto tire, and it's a 27.5 or 650B, and it's a 1.75 inch wide tire, which means it's around a 42. Now I've measured it out on this rim. This is a 25 millimeter wide rim, and it measures out to right around 40 millimeters. The tire that's currently on this bike over here, this is a Rando 650 by 48. It measures out to about 44.5 millimeters. So I want to see, does this tire make any difference? Does it have better tracking ability because it's narrower? Does it bounce a little bit less? Is it still as smooth as this one? So that's what I'm going to do today. A couple of little updates before I run out there and do this. Some of you have been waiting on the news on when we hit the $100 mark, and so I just checked my account this morning, and I think we're going to be hitting that very, very soon. I've been putting the ads on the last couple of videos, and it has definitely pumped up the ad revenue. So we're sitting right around $99 according to what I just noticed this morning, and so that money should hopefully get sent to the AdSense account, and then as soon as it hits that 100, it'll send out a check. So I think we're really close, and I'm keeping a close eye on the comments on that video to see where people are suggesting that I put it. And so I think we're honing in on that, and I'm going to make an announcement on that very, very soon. The other thing is, I've had a few people ask me about my saddle. I swapped out the saddle that I was running before, which was a Gilles Virtude, and it was the Gablier model, which is their narrowest, most kind of high performance model of that lineup. And so I have since taken that off, and I've been riding a Specialized Toupee saddle, and it's a wider saddle. It measures out to 155 millimeters at the widest point. So I've been riding that for the last couple of weeks, and a few of you asked me what my thoughts were. So I've put on it now, the longest ride I put on it was 70 miles, and a lot of 20 and 30 and 40 mile rides, both mixed terrain, road rides with mixed terrain, gravel and off-road stuff. And so far it is comfortable, and I do like that wider platform. Even in the drops, it still has a very narrow nose on it, so you can get down in the drops with decent amount of comfort. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. I don't want to say that it's I don't want to say too much, because with saddles I've learned over the years that you got to give it some time before you make a final conclusion. But I know some of you asked about it, so I wanted to give you that update. So far it's been working well, and I don't have any plans yet to switch back to the Gablier at this point. Let's run out. Well, I gotta swap on these wheels, and then I'm going to go out and just see how this rides. This is not a mathematical study. This is not a scientific. Whoa, there's a bee. Get. This yellow jacket. This is not going to be a scientific evaluation of any kind. This is just a personal experience type of video. So hopefully I'll keep it short and sweet, and let's do this. Let's go do this. Let's get it done.
All right, well, I don't know if you can see my lip here, but just got stung by a yellow jacket in my mouth on the inner part of my lip. So it's gonna be a little hard to talk now, which might be a good thing actually. So anyway, yeah, the tires are working out great. They don't actually feel less smooth, I guess, or supple or comfortable on the road as the 48s, but they do feel just a little bit more kind of performance-y, a little bit higher performance maybe, or I guess you could say they kind of hold the line a little bit nicer. I think the big 48s are really good for mixed terrain rides. If you're going to do a lot of off-road, but if you're doing mostly pavement, it seems like you don't need to go that extra width, and I don't think you're really going to give up a whole lot in comfort. So yeah, so overall I'm kind of pleased with this little test. The bike feels basically the same on the pavement, even this rough pavement here.
All right, well, I'm not sure if you notice anything different, but my lip and my cheek is a little bit swollen. And that is because on the way back from the ride, I got stung by a bee right here on the inside of my lip. And actually, I think it was a yellow jacket, because when it stung me, I tried to spit it out, but it wouldn't come out of my mouth, and I physically had to scrape it out with my hands. So I think it was a yellow jacket, and it was biting down on the inside of my lip. So anyway, it's swollen now, and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to wrap up this video, and I'm sure you have plenty of other things to do anyway. So just to conclude on this 650B by 42 little tire experiment, I would say that the narrower tire does seem to handle a little bit better. It doesn't follow things on the road as easily. So that was the biggest thing I noticed. As far as comfort, I didn't notice any difference between a 42 and the 48. It felt just as comfortable. I did run this at 30 psi, which is a little bit low probably for this size tire, when I generally run the 48s between 27 and 30 for road rides. So this was run at a little bit lower air pressure. It would probably feel a little bit less comfortable if I pumped it up to say 35 or even 40, which would probably be too high for this tire. But if I set the pressure to the correct pressure for this size tire, it would probably feel a little less comfortable, but it might feel a little bit faster too. So there's those trade-offs when you play around with tire pressure. Otherwise, I would say it felt good. It is a little bit lighter. A 30 or a 42 millimeter tire is definitely going to be lighter than a 48. The tubes can also be smaller, which can be lighter as well. So there is a little bit of a weight savings over both tires, and that may be something you notice, but it may not be noticeable. You know, such a small difference that it may not turn out to be anything at all. So anyway, that's going to conclude my video today, and have a nice evening.